Hi, I'm here with Jill Archer, 25 years old, either 6'1" or 6'3". We will get to that in a moment. We will clear that up, hopefully. Starting power forward for Broni in Italy, almost 11 points and 8 rebounds per game. She played for a season for the SC Trojans, spent 3 years at Georgetown and 2 years at St. John's, so she's no stranger to traveling and going coast to coast. And this California girl is also playing for the Cedars, which is the Lebanon national team. Hey, Jill, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. And how was your morning? Did you have like a morning shoot around and stuff like that?
Surprisingly, we actually had the morning off today, which has been one of the first since I've been here.
Okay, so you just went out for breakfast. Okay, I thought that
Yeah,
you went to a workout and then you had your breakfast. Okay,
yeah, I know.
okay. And what do you usually have for breakfast in
Since
Italy?
I've been in Italy, it's been a lot of croissants and
Okay.
coffee. Yeah, so
Okay, okay. So we're both caffeinated properly for this interview. That's cool. I want to open up with some random questions about Lebanon, if that's cool with you. Okay,
definitely.
so let's start with something easy. The flag. How does the flag of Lebanon look like? Because some people might not know.
Yes. The flag of Lebanon is red, green, and white, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, I didn't butcher
Yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, it's pretty simple, I think, especially in comparison to like other flags. So,
Yeah. And there's as well, the green comes from the cedar tree. The team is called the Cedars. Do you know
yeah,
anything about like the significance of the cedar tree?
honestly, I'm not too familiar with it. It's definitely something I should have looked into more, but yeah.
Okay. Okay, so it's like biblical, it's like a symbol of strength and wealth, and that's probably why they put it there. So to
Okay.
show that their strength. Interestingly, Lebanon has the highest populations of refugees
Yeah.
percentage wise of any countries. Did you notice that as well when you were there? That there were a lot of people speaking different languages and people from different cultures just interacting with each other or sticking to themselves, whatever.
I definitely did. I think that when I was in Lebanon, it was super diverse and I was kind of able to feel that. Obviously, there were a lot more natives and locals there,
Hmm.
but just kind of going out and exploring like Beirut within itself, I met so many different people from different backgrounds, which kind of helped me settle into Lebanon a lot more.
Okay. And the last bit of trivia, Lebanon has the highest smoking rate per citizen. For 34% of people over 15 are just regular smokers. I'm guessing
Yeah.
you're not part of that group.
No, I'm not part of
But
that group.
but a lot of people are actually smoking on the streets, like when you notice them.
Yeah, definitely a lot of people do. It's kind of a part of the culture there, I would say.
Okay, just sitting in cafes and just smoking or talking and smoking. That's what they do.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a norm, I would say.
Okay. Okay. So I want to start. Well, I already started, but I want to start the regular interview by asking you, how did you uh, end up playing for Lebanon, actually?
Yeah, so when I finished my season in Greece, I actually ended up signing to a team there called Commitment. I absolutely loved Commitment, amazing club. And during my like showing there, I was contacted by the national team and they just expressed interest in me joining them. So I ended up having to go through the process of gaining my Lebanon citizenship. And then from there, I was given a Lebanon ID and my passport, and I was a neutralized player from there.
Awesome. And how long did the process take?
It honestly didn't take long. I want to say within a couple of months, I was good to go.
Okay. And it's been a year probably since you've been playing for Lebanon, right? Something like that, more or less.
Yes,
Maybe, yeah.
it's
So
been a little less than a
a
year.
little less, right? Yeah, because you debuted on the 13th of July,
Yeah.
2025. Yeah, so it's like half a year, right? Um, Sorry. And how do you evaluate the experience so far?
I would say so far it's been amazing. I think in general, just being able to play for a country that really prioritizes like connections and relationships and strong bonds was awesome for me. Because I think so often when it comes to basketball, you're kind of just doing a job as opposed to really playing for people and having the support of others that like push you to like want to succeed and do well. And I loved Lebanon. I mean, I definitely consider it like my second home now. So it was just like an honor in a sense to be able to play for that country and to continue to just try my best every day for them.
Awesome. Awesome. And how do you evaluate your team's performance so far? Because in your debut, you had like 10 points, 12 rebounds, 2 steals, but your team lost 72-68 to Japan, which must have been hard to swallow. But at the same time, Japan is pretty strong. So it was kind of a good contested game. And your team eventually ended up seventh of the eight teams in Women's Asia Cup. So that was
Yeah.
pretty good, I guess. So are you happy with the overall performance?
I think I'm definitely happy with the overall performance. From my understanding, the national team this year was relatively new. It was a mixture of girls who had national team experience as well as those who didn't. And we were really just trying to build something from that. I think it's definitely disappointing in terms of not winning all the games that we would hope, especially when you put in all the work that we did all summer. But I was really proud of us. I think that we fought, we played some really great competition, especially like Japan, for example. Like they're a really solid team. They have a lot of success in the past and even now. And I think overall it was just about like going out there and doing our best and trying to fight, you know? And I think
Hmm.
that's exactly what we did at the end of the day.
Yeah, and you guys stayed in Division A, which was the goal anyway, so that's pretty good that you're still in that competition, right?
Definitely.
Okay. So now I would like us to go back to the other side of the globe, California. What was your
Yeah.
childhood like growing up? Because like you had six siblings, right? Or
Yes.
yeah, big family. How did you guys spend your time and what did you do?
Definitely a huge family. I'm actually the middle child, so I was really privileged to kind of have like guidance and role models for my older siblings, but also kind of being able to set that foundation for my younger siblings. Um, when you have a lot of siblings, the house can get super noisy sometimes, but I think overall it was just really awesome. It still is to this day. Even though we're all kind of doing our own thing, we're able to kind of learn from each other and support each other and help each other grow. In terms of California itself, I spent a lot of time at the beach. I definitely love the beach. I grew up on the beach and kind of just being able to like listen to the waves and relax is something that I still find myself doing when I go home today.
Okay. And was it at the beach that you learned to swim? Because you actually participated in Junior Olympics, right? When you were younger.
Yes.
So was it around that time that you also got interested in swimming and just achieved?
Yeah, it definitely was. When I was in middle school, I actually picked up surfing. And obviously, I thought it was going to be super easy, just like my ego getting in the way. And I quickly learned that when you fall off of the surfboard, you have to know how to swim very well. So from that, I just kind of started to venture into swimming, and I found myself to like really enjoy it, and it was something I was good at.
Do you still swim like for pleasure whenever you're in California or not really?
Not really swimming. I do a lot of stuff in the pool though, in terms of like pool recovery and trying to
Hmm.
take load off my body if I want to do like cardio in the water.
Okay. Okay. But you are like contractually allowed to swim if you want to. There are certain things that you probably can't do, like skiing and stuff like that. But swimming, I
Yeah.
think, should be pretty like cool, I guess.
Yeah, anything that's not high risk for injury
Hmm.
is usually okay. So
Okay.
swimming is pretty good.
Okay. And how did you get into basketball? Because there's an interesting story there as
Yeah,
well.
so when I was younger, I was extremely pigeon-toed, which means my feet go like
Hmm.
inwards. And it was definitely a struggle for me. I found myself like having really bad balance, tripping over my own feet sometimes. And I actually ended up going to a orthopedic specialist in California. And after doing some like analysis and imaging, they found out that my hips basically sit inwards, which is like the root cause of it. So from there, the doctor basically just encouraged me to play a sport to open up my hips. So the car ride home, my mom and I basically were talking, and we both agreed that I was pretty tall, compared to other women. And she had her own experience playing basketball in high school as well as in college. And after everything, I was like, okay, let's just try it. I mean, if I don't like it, I can always stop.
Okay. And when came the first moment when you realized, wow, I could actually make a career out of this?
It took a long time,
Okay.
honestly. Since I started kind of late, I was 14 years old, about to enter my freshman year of high school. And at that point, I had just joined a travel ball team. When I looked around, all of the girls that I was playing with were very good. Like, I was so bad. I used to lift my entire leg to go between the legs. And then you have like these other girls that were super skilled and, they weren't airballing layups and stuff like that. But after just like sticking with it, I would say around my sophomore year of high school, I realized like, okay, I could actually do something with basketball and hopefully I can get a scholarship to go play in college.
Okay, which is eventually what you did, right? But before we
Yes.
will get to that, I also want to ask you about what kept you going through high school because you had three knee surgeries in high school, right?
Yes.
So 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 can you tell us more about it? Like what was the reason for that and what kept you going and still convinced you that you could actually make a career as a basketball player?
Yeah. So as soon as I started playing basketball, within like 6 months, I had my first knee surgery. I ended up tearing my ACL and my meniscus, and I had to get both of those fixed. My sophomore year was the only year of high school that I was able to play the entire year injury free. And during that year, I had a really good showing with my travel ball team at EYBL tournaments, which eventually led to me getting ranked within my class, as well as like accolades for being one of the best rebounders in my class. And that's when the college interest and offers started to pour in. So from there, my junior year, I was able to play about half the season, and then I ended up getting surgery again on my meniscus. And my senior year, I came back for about 4 games, and then had to get surgery on my meniscus again. So it was definitely difficult, I could say, in terms of staying motivated, especially when I had kind of just picked up a basketball. It just kind of seemed like, maybe basketball isn't for me if I keep getting injured so much. But one thing I can say, basketball brought a sense of community for me. Just being able to like play against different people and with different people, it kind of allowed me to hear their stories and the things that they had to endure themselves. And I think stepping away from that community would have been really difficult for me at that time.
Mhm.
So that was kind of like my biggest motivation, as well as the opportunities that came with it. In high school, I got to travel all across the country, playing in different games against different people. And that was the first time I really stepped out of my comfort zone and got to see different parts of the world.
And are you still close with the people that you've started out playing basketball? Maybe started having your first achievements like in high school. Are you guys still close?
Absolutely.
Okay.
My travel ball coach is probably one of my biggest mentors to this day. I still talk to him a lot, as well as a lot of my teammates that I played with, whether they were the same age as me or older, younger. We still support each other a lot to this day. And it's just really awesome to see us all kind of doing our own thing, whether
Mhm.
that's coaching or still playing basketball or getting into their respective fields.
Okay. And despite like those setbacks with injuries, I'm sorry for my dog.
No
You were
problem.
able to go to USC, right? It was still good to go there.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So, but you've only spent a year there. Why, if I may ask, of
Um,
course.
yeah, no, of course. I loved USC. I think off of the court, I had an amazing time. I think I had too much fun, honestly, my freshman year of college. In terms of basketball itself, I wanted to kind of be put into a position where I felt like I could really continue to develop as a player and not necessarily be boxed in. There was also a lot of adversity that my team and I faced that year. We ended up having, I want to say, 6 or 7 people total transfer out that year just because of everything that was going on that was kind of out of our control within the coaching staff as well as like the athletic department as a whole. And I also think academically, I wanted something a little more challenging. Of course, a school like USC has a lot of resources for us as athletes, but it just kind of seemed a little too easy. Like it wasn't necessarily preparing me for the world that was going to come when I
Mhm.
finally graduated. So
Okay.
those were the biggest reasons.
Okay. So, just to make things even harder for yourself, you picked out a school that was on the other side of the continent. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Your first time without family for that long?
Yeah, that was my first time.
Okay.
Other than that, I had only been with my family my entire life.
Okay. And you go to Georgetown. So, why did you decide on Georgetown, and what were the things that you needed to adjust to the most?
Ultimately, I decided on Georgetown because of their academic side. The school is amazing. It's definitely up there with, in my eyes at least, it's up there with like Harvard and Yale when it comes to academic achievement, as well as just like the networking opportunities that come with that for when I'm ready to, put the ball down and just kind of focus on my career. I think in terms of adjustment, there was a lot I had to adjust to, but the biggest thing was the weather. Obviously, in California, a cold day is like 65 degrees, and I found myself slipping on snow walking outside of my apartment in Georgetown. The other big thing for me was definitely adjusting to not having family. Um, of course, at 18 years old, I was like, yeah, I'm ready to get away from my family and just be by
Yeah.
myself. And it quickly hit me that the support system that I had back home, although it did extend to the East Coast because I had like FaceTime and phone calls, I definitely was missing like home cooked meals, having my family at games, things like
Mm.
that. So, those are the two worst things I would say when I first got there. It definitely took me a while to adjust to both of those, but once I was able to find the positives within those negatives, it helped me a lot.
Okay. And you said that USC wasn't as challenging academically, and Georgetown was clearly up to your standards. So,
Yes.
and you spoke about your career. Like you used the word career, not talking about basketball, but talking about stuff like that. So, basketball is more of an adventure than a career.
I definitely think basketball is my calling or passion. I'm not gonna lie. But I do think that, eventually I will have to step away from playing the game. And I definitely hope to stay well connected to the sport after playing, whether that's coaching. I actually don't think I want to coach. I'm not going to lie to you,
Okay.
but I definitely want to stay well incorporated into like the sports community because it's helped me a lot in my life and being able to kind of impact the community, basketball specifically, is something that I aspire to do when I'm
Okay.
done playing.
So like management position, you're open to considering that, or
Definitely.
being an agent also, or not really.
Yes, I've definitely thought about being an agent, especially in the world of NIL. I
Yeah.
was really privileged to get to have 2 years of NIL, and I took full advantage of it.
Okay. And that was also the time when you turned blonde, I think, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So what, because you went to St. John's for 2 years, and those were the 2 years of NIL, right? So
Yes,
NIL in New York City, well, in the state of New York, must have been great, right?
absolutely. It was
Okay.
honestly amazing. And on top of that, the networking opportunities that came from it, being in a place like New York, it was surreal. I still have like everlasting connections and relationships that I made with different brands and people that I still utilize today.
Okay. And You had your MA or you have your MA because I mean it doesn't just disappear in psychology, right? So what got
Yes.
you interested in psychology and how did you develop from actually because as you said at USC you started at sports psychology but then you sort of graduated to psychology in general, right? So what
Yes.
sparked your interest in psychology and how did this like idea develop into something that you might turn into a career one day?
Yeah. So, um, honestly, I definitely experienced a lot of adversity. Just like growing up, everyone kind of goes through their own stuff. And I think that once I started playing basketball and was experiencing adversity, I quickly noticed that there is a huge disadvantage, excuse me,
Okay.
disadvantage to athletes when it comes to mental health not necessarily being prioritized. Obviously, when you think about an athlete, most of the time you think about characteristics of them being strong or resilient. You don't necessarily think of the mental turmoil that they have to go through to be able to perform in the sport that they play. And I felt myself going through that when I was going through all of my injuries, as well as just the emotional effects of transferring from school to school, which kind of continued my passion in psychology, seeing how well I was able to incorporate it into my everyday life. And I think my biggest thing, although I have my MA in psychology, it's kind of all under one umbrella, I guess you can say. And I have very, very big aspirations to get into sports psychology when I'm done playing, just to kind of be a pillar, I guess you can say, for athletes who could be experiencing things that I went through, or even things that are just similar in their own way.
Okay, awesome. So you graduate and you have your MA in hand, but you want to continue playing basketball. And NBL one calls. Were you enthusiastic about going to Australia? Skeptical? What was the thought process like?
Yeah, so I had to make the decision if I was going to keep playing basketball or if I was going to, just go work. Obviously, doing 6 years in college, it was a long time playing basketball. And when my agent told me that he had an offer for me to go to Australia, it hit me that like, okay, like it's here now. I kind of have to just go with the flow, basically. I'm a strong believer that everything happens for a reason and that God just has a really big purpose for everybody. And I was like, okay, this is just a part of my story in a sense. So it was scary to me to fly across the water like that and go all the way to Australia. That was probably the scariest part. But I was just so excited. That's the only word that I can use to describe it. I think being able to play in a country as beautiful as Australia, as well as it being my first time going there, I was just like, oh, I can't wait to do this and try this and see this. And then on top of that, just having the opportunity to continue playing basketball is amazing. I mean, it's obviously not something that everybody has the opportunity to do. So just trying to like grasp the opportunity and take full advantage of it was like my main focus in terms of basketball.
Okay. Okay. And from Australia, you go to Greece and you enjoy another solid performance, right? And
Yes.
so, what do you remember most about playing in Greece?
Um, Unfortunately, the bus travel is what I
Okay.
remember most from Greece. A lot of long bus rides, but I think on a more serious note, it was when I was really able to deep dive into like the overseas lifestyle. Australia was very similar to the US in terms of everybody spoke English. There was a lot to do. The weather was pretty nice, and we obviously weren't playing as intensely in NBL one
Yeah.
as we were in the first league in Greece. So it was really just kind of like the determining factor as to whether or not I was going to continue playing overseas or if it was just going to be like a one and done type of situation.
Yeah, and well, we covered Lebanon, and now you're in Italy, in Broni. So, what are your goals for the season? And are you happy with how things turned out so far?
Yeah, so the season is actually almost over. We only
Hmm.
have three regular season games left, I believe. And right now, our biggest goal is to try to just get to playoffs. Um, this team just advanced from the second division in Italy to the first division. So that's definitely like a huge goal that we had going into the season. Not only to stay in the first division, but also to make playoffs and kind of just make a statement that Brony is, capable of continuing success in the first division, and they're not just like a Division two team that got
Hmm.
lucky in a sense. Um, I definitely think my competitive side, it's a little disappointing that like we're not number one because of course we want to win every game and we want to be the best, but I've seen my team and myself compete every single night, regardless of who we're playing, whether that's one of the lower teams or like Skio. And I
Hmm.
think that that within itself is very reassuring that we all kind of have one common goal and we just want us to be as successful as possible.
Okay, and I mean, Broni has some serious basketball credentials actually, because you know who's the most famous person from Broni? It's
I I
a
don't know.
women's basketball player, Cecilia Zandalassini. Like
Okay.
yeah, she is the probably the most famous person from there. But and Broni
Yeah.
itself is pretty close to Pavia and Milan. So do you in free time travel to those cities, or do you rather stay put and just soak in the atmosphere of like, well, middle to small town Italy and enjoy it?
Yeah, I definitely enjoy the town here, but I do find myself venturing out to Pavia and Milan every once in a while. I think my biggest commitment besides basketball when I'm overseas is really trying to dive into the culture of where I'm at and just kind of meeting new people and learning from them. So I find myself trying new food places all the time. Uh, Fun fact, I love eating. It's probably what I do in my free time the most. And I'm really big on like nature and sightseeing.
Hmm.
I think I'm 25. I don't know when I'm gonna come back to Italy. So being able to go see like different monuments or participate in like small pop-up events and stuff like that, it's something that I really enjoy doing.
Okay, okay. And staying on the topic of food, Italy is full of temptations, right? When it comes to
Yeah.
food. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, what are maybe, let's say, top three dishes that you had in Italy?
Okay. Risotto is number
Okay.
one for sure.
What sort of risotto? Like the white, red, because they're like different. With what ingredients?
Love the yellow one, which I think has
Okay.
cheese incorporated into it.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely reminds me a lot of mac and cheese. I don't know if that's like okay to say, but I love it. Um, my second dish, I love salami and cheese. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if that's considered a dish or a snack,
A
but
snack, yeah. Okay.
yeah, I literally eat that every single day. I take it to the gym with me every day, and my teammates just laugh at the fact that, I'm sitting in the locker room eating salami and cheese. But that's definitely become a staple in like my everyday routine here. And hmm, for my last dish, I would have to say I've always been a pasta lover,
Okay.
but pasta is definitely prepared different in Italy than it is in America. Obviously, it's more authentic here. It has a different taste, and I would say the pasta itself is more al dente,
Yeah.
whereas like, when I think about pasta back home in America, I would say it's like soggy now, just
Yeah,
because
it's
I've been exposed
squishy and
to
yeah, 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 yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So any type of pasta dish that I've had in Italy, I've loved. Like I would devour the plate with it if I was
Okay,
able to.
okay. So pizza, not really, or you just don't want to be basic and say pizza as every other
Yeah,
person.
I mean, I think pizza is like a staple.
Yeah,
Like, especially in Italy, you can't find pizza that's not good.
yeah,
So,
and it's very different than the and then in the States as well, right? So
yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
Like the Italians scoff at deep dish pizza, for example, right? Because they don't
Yes.
do it. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Jill, for finding the time to talk, and good luck in your team making the playoffs.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.